With the return of Ellen Baker, I figured it was time to do another Gunpla review. And why not return to my roots by reviewing a random obscure kit from the 90s that you've probably never heard about, unless you watched my development history on the full armor Gundam. The Gundam armor type from the Micro Gundam line. So first things first, what even is the Micro Gundam line? Because believe me, you're barely going to find any information in English on these figures/kits. So, if you think back to the kits from the late 80s and the early 90s, Bandai was really trying to show off their system injection molding technology, which allowed them to mold multiple colors onto a single runner, which then advanced to molding multiple colors on a single part, and even molding movable inner frames, like an early version of the Realgrade's inner frame. In 1994 then, they decided to take things one step further with the Micro Gundam line. The accessories and the backpack still had to be cut from runners like a standard kit, but the mobile suit itself was pre-assembled and made heavy use of that system injection molding. By today's standards, calling this thing color accurate might be pretty laughable, but for the time, this really was a technological marvel, especially at the price point that these things were going for. These were going for only 380 yen, when the average 1/144 scale kit was going for 500, while arguably also having better proportions and having better color separation, of course, depending on which kit we're comparing it to. It does suffer from the one big issue though that other multiple colors onto one part kits suffer from. You need to get the different color in there somehow, so there's always going to be one or multiple entry points in a different color. But I do like that they at least tried to hide them as detailing. Again, a lot of thought and engineering seems to have gone into these. Next up then, we get to the accessories, which are definitely the least technologically advanced part of this kit, but we are getting a lot of play value here, especially when you get multiple Micro Gundams. Included with this kit is a cannon backpack with some unfortunate hollow parts, a buckler shield for the left arm, and a twin beam cannon for the right arm, also with some unfortunate hollow parts. But as you might have noticed, the connection holes on both arms are the same, so you can switch them around, and they're also the same as the connection holes on the legs and on the back skirt. For the Armored Gundam by itself, they don't serve any purpose, but you can store weapons here from other kits like the RX-78-2. Or it can also wield weapons from other kits because the hands are all the same. And for even further customization, I'm pretty sure it's also possible to swap out the backpacks, but just don't quote me on this, I've only got this one so far. What also surprised me is that it has a connection for an action base, and because it uses 3mm holes, this 1994 model kit is compatible with even the latest action bases that Bandai has released. Back in the day though, I'm pretty sure that this was meant to be used with the action bases that you got with the Victory Gundam kits. Those were being released around 1993-1994. On to the articulation then. The head is on a tiny but very stiff ball joint. It goes up and down a little bit, and technically should also be able to turn around all the way, but it honestly feels like it's gonna snap if I tried to do that. So a little bit left and right it is. And we get even more stiff ball joints on the arms. They'll go out about 90 degrees and can rotate around all the way, but again, it feels dangerous to do this. Again, like they could snap at any moment. The elbow then is also on a ball joint, which is definitely something you don't see a lot. The only other kit that immediately comes to mind with a ball jointed elbow is the Master Grade Zeta Gundam version 1.0. But anyways, the hands are also on ball joints, and usually I would say that they can wiggle around, turn around, and do everything a ball joint does, but there's already stress marks on the thing, so I am not going to touch them and just move on to the waist, which can rotate around on a peg joint. The skirt armor then is completely molded together, seriously hindering the movement of the ball-jointed hips. They do move more than you might expect, but they're still not particularly great, and this goes for the rest of the legs too. The knees bend like, 45 degrees, and the feet are on tiny ball joints. Even for the time, this articulation wasn't exactly something to write home about. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great either, and most poses will end up looking quite stiff. Oh, and as a quick side note, when I first tried posing this thing, the knee joints were so stiff that I thought you straight up couldn't move them. It wasn't until I saw images online of this thing, with its knees bent, that I had the confidence to really brute force them, and it really feels like you gotta break them to first move them, and even now, they still feel very stiff. When you're done playing with your Micro Gundams then, you can easily store them away in the plastic box they came in. And this is a really cool thing because it's styled to look like a hanger, and even the runner becomes part of this hanger. You attach the hands of the armored Gundam to these handlebars, and in he goes. And if you want, you can also slide this cardboard sleeve over it. Which, by the way, has the final quote-unquote accessory of this thing. A little card featuring the Gundam armor type with the serial number E181A. Don't ask me what the number means, I have no idea. So as always, the inevitable question is, do you want to buy this? And well, back in 1994 for 380 yen, I would have jumped on this. It is a cool variant of the full armored Gundam with some really cool technology, beautiful proportions, and a great price. All of which totally make up for the not so stellar articulation. Fast forward to 2026, I would say that this is still a cool collectible of a Gundam variant that doesn't exist anywhere else. The Armored Gundam was made specifically for this line. And I also saw an interesting theory that maybe they made the Armored Gundam because making the full Armored Gundam into the Micro Gundam line would have been a bit too expensive. Unfortunately though, the line wasn't meant to be. Maybe profit margins were too tight, or maybe interest waned because they just kept pushing out nearly identical Zakus. But the fact of the matter is that the line wouldn't last more than 2 years. I read somewhere that a Goof, gun cannon, and even a Samson trailer were planned, but subsequently cancelled, which really is a shame. I would have loved to see this line continue on, and then eventually even get a gym. On to the size comparisons then. Did I mention that this thing is small? Because it is small. Here it is next to the HCM Pro Heavy Arms and this small RX-78-2 Real Type that I keep on my shelf. And when you're looking at this, remember that the Heavy Arms is supposed to be smaller than the RX-78-2. And finally, here it is next to the standard size Gym Custom and the always bulky Zaku 3. Who is looking especially bulky today. And who knows, in an alternate universe where this line did catch on, there might be a Micro Gundam Gym Custom and Micro Gundam Zaku 3. Unfortunately, that universe is not our universe. As always, a big thank you to the Patreon supporters. I hope everyone watching has a great day, and I'll see you all next time.